Secretary of State Hillary Clinton had not faced an audience this tough on her since she made that awful change you can Xerox joke at that one presidential primary debate. Check it out.
Every time an American leader comes, he always emphasizes the fact that there should be exchange of information, intelligence all along. But at the same time, the drone attacks are being carried out in our country, in our people. They are causing so much collateral damage at the same time. We, at one point, asked United States of America to share the intelligence with us and carry it out, and at the same time, the drone attacks are still going on in the Waziristan. What does Madam or America in general plans to do about that? Because it's creating a lot of frustration among our people.
Well, I will not talk about that specifically, but generally, let me say that there's a war going on.
Yes, there plainly is a war going on. At least that's what it looks like when the United States is shooting missiles into another country on a weekly basis. But technically, we're not supposed to be at war with the country at which we are shooting these particular missiles. As Secretary Clinton toured Pakistan this week, it was made clear to her that Pakistanis are not nearly as at peace with this very warlike tactic of ours as America seems to be.
Victims of drone attacks, is that terrorism? Or people being killed in a marketplace in Bishar, is that terrorism? In the United States, do you perceive both victims as victims of terrorism?
No, I do not. I do not.
The United Nations Committee has just ruled or suggested that drone attacks may constitute a violation of international law, and it constitutes the execution of people without a trial. And the Pakistan Parliament, of course, has also requested that these drone attacks be stopped, yet they continue, and the Pakistani people have begun to resent them and associate them with U.S. policy towards Pakistan as a whole.
Well, I think what's important here is that there is a war going on, as several of you have said. And I won't comment on that specific matter.
They have been relentless under the Obama administration. And do you think, and does the Obama administration feel, that the loss of life and how people feel about them in Pakistan is worth it, given the minimal successes you get?
Well, again, I'm not going to comment on any particular tactic or technology.
Whether or not U.S. officials comment on it, U.S. national security experts are starting to report more openly on the fact that we are using our miraculous flying robots to shoot missiles into Pakistan more than we ever have before. The pace of these CIA attacks on Pakistani territory has escalated under President Obama. This year alone, the associated death toll is estimated at anywhere from 300 to 700. The Pakistanis who greeted Hillary Clinton this week want to know, and I have to admit I'm fairly curious, are the drone strikes legal? Joining us now is Jonathan Turley, professor of constitutional law at George Washington University Law School. Professor Turley, thanks for joining us tonight.
Hi, Rachel.
Under what legal authority is the U.S. making these CIA drone strikes in Pakistan?
Well, certainly they seem to claim some unstated authority, although we've seen with George Bush it's easy to claim authority. In his case, he would claim authority even to do things defined as war crimes. It's much, much more difficult to find where that authority could possibly be. This is not a nation that has attacked us. It is not a failed nation, and these are not ungoverned areas, despite our suggestions. These are traditional areas that are governed under a tribal system of government at the behest or with the permission of the Pakistani government. So none of those categories fit. This is also not hot pursuit. I mean, first of all, hot pursuit is something that is largely a product of the law of the seas. Okay, it's not something that you do normally on territory. But even if you get beyond that, and some people claim you can do hot pursuit on land, this is neither hot nor pursuit. This is basically taking out targets that appear. And then finally, this is not what's called anticipatory defense or an anticipatory self-defense strike under Article 51 of the UN Charter. None of those categories fit, and what you're left with is basically a country saying we're at war with terrorism, and we're carrying out that war by attacking the territory of an ally.
It is hard to talk about this issue, I think, in American politics right now. And this issue has started to be discussed among strategists and national security reporters and other people who are sort of experts in this field, but it's not getting wide political attention, I think, in part because every American is on board with the strategic idea of targeting the senior membership of al-Qaeda. I count myself among the probably millions of Americans who would be happy to kill Osama bin Laden with a spoon if I could. But the idea that we are doing something in violation of the law in the name of making strategic gains against al-Qaeda is troubling in the long term and in terms of the overall impact with our ally in Pakistan. If it is found that this is not legal, what would the United States do? Would we just try to change the law, or would we stop doing it?
Well, I'll try to get that image of you with your killer spoon out there hunting down terrorists, but it's a good one. You really put your finger on the problem here. We are destabilizing the world by violating international law. International law is built on a couple of pillars, and the most important one is the concept of sovereignty. And what we're doing is saying that we can unilaterally violate sovereignty. Now, we're probably doing that with the silent consent of Pakistan. They have notably not made any objections in the UN while they make political statements. But what are we going to do when North Korea or Iran takes the same types of measures across the border? We will likely say, well, that's just not the same thing. And we'll be once again saying it's not the same thing because it's not us. And that's not a good basis upon which to maintain international law. We benefit from international law greatly from the stability that it brings. So we really have here a mission in search of a rationale, and that makes it a very dangerous mission.
Jonathan Turley, professor of constitutional law at George Washington University Law School. We started looking into this issue. I talked to Jane Mayer about it last week, did some independent research on it. We got staffers working on it, and we kept coming up with the answer that we needed to talk to you about it. So thank you for being available to do so. Really appreciate it.
Thanks, Rachel.